spruce roots. So the small ones like this you can use for decorative work or lacing in doing birch bark containers, that sort of thing. With the fire going, but they're not as pretty. And to remove the bark, just 2 sticks, and you run it through a few times. There it goes. Working with spruce roots, though, your hands are going to get black, like sticky black.
Can everyone see me if I stand over here? Yeah, pretty much, yeah. We're alright. You guys can see back there? We're going to take one of the sponges in our cup and we're going to dampen our bracelet so that it changes color completely. As you can see, this one looks different than that one. So this one's ready to be stamped on. And we're going to take my initials, K and an M. There is no leather eraser. So there are tiny little etchings on the stamps themselves to indicate which way is right side up. You only get one shot at it. So if you put it in upside down, that's all she wrote. You can't get it out. So you always want to make sure that it's perfectly lined up beforehand. There's stamp handles in all of the stamp packages there. So the stamps go right into that, easy enough. And we're going to line it up on our bracelet wherever we may want it. Make sure that it's on our granite slab and that it's right side up and centered. We're going to give it a couple good whacks and then we are good to go. So as you can see, that went pretty deep into this little thin piece of leather. Measurement the whole way so we can't screw it up. Now, it's always easier to do with 2 people. I just got Al to help me because it's so long. One person can hold the side and the other person can walk down and cut it out. Once you have your strip cut out, you're going to want to mark your length on it. You can mark it with a pen or a pencil on the back side of things. I do have a pen on me, or you can also take a knife and make a small nick in it. And then what we're going to do is we need to cut our belt end, however we want our design.
Tie off the ends. Alright, so you're totally enclosed in this.
I thought I one leg tarp up in every configuration you could imagine.
Yeah.
Never seen this one before, and I'm in love with it.
It ain't gonna move my fat ass.
Using tar line? It's a bank line. Yeah. I don't know what number it is. I just get it off Amazon. I think it comes in like a 250-foot roll or something.
You don't leave a hank on each loop.
I probably will. Yeah.
What's the tensile strength on something this size?
Yeah. A couple hundred pounds, I think.
And that's what you're going to put this through.
And if you twist it the wrong way, it will slide.
Okay.
If you twist it the right way.
And then pull this way.
That's what it turns into.
Now what's your lock on that bike?
All the way up to the right.
Okay, down. Yep. Great.
Is Bella gonna help Mommy again? You count 4, okay? Can you count 1, 2, 3, 4? No, that's right.
So we've got a third loom with lots of material if anybody else wants to jump in. Matthew? Nope. It's funny because that's what I started thinking about using for my bow and stern line.
Nope, these are fleas. You want to pick 4? You pick 4.
I'm thinking about it. I was wondering if it would... It doesn't seem to roll up.
You didn't like this one and like the 4 bore.
Which one, yours?
Yeah. Oh. This guy.
Take that and we'll help you.
That's like a kid size.
That's cool.
That's like one of the short ones. Like.
It's gonna be good size. I think we're done.
I know we've had a bit of a challenge with the weather in the last couple of days, but hey, that's all part of being in the bush, right? We all deal with it and we move on. But on behalf of the Nova Scotia Bushcraft Association Committee, we want to welcome you all and thank you all for coming. So we've got a pretty good crowd here. We should have the bulk of the people showing up today and tomorrow. The weather seems to be working with us well. Personally, I'd like to thank the committee themselves. Over the last 6 to 7 months, there's been a lot of online FaceTime meetings, behind-the-scenes planning. There's been a lot of emails going around and contacting different companies and different businesses. And for our presenters that were here so far this weekend, I want to thank you very much on behalf of the committee for giving us your time and your knowledge and willing to share with us. We've been in contact with a few different organizations and stuff as well, so they've been very generous this year for our giveaway for the registered members on Saturday, so that's looking really good for this weekend. So on my far left we have Tim O'Brien, who's just recently joined our committee here in the last bit and helped out a lot with the, he makes a great secretary for taking minutes and stuff on our meetings and stuff and organizing to keep us in tow and holding us accountable for what we're responsible for. Next we have our King Poobah, Lawrence Camo. If not for him, none of this would be happening right now. This is his baby, created 7 years ago. In the last few years, it's absolutely exploded. So, thank you, Lawrence, for your vision. Next, we have our father, Mark Young. Father time. Yeah. Mark's a valued member of our committee as well, who does a lot of the, like I was talking about, a lot of the behind-the-scenes planning and reaching out to people to get the support for our nonprofit organization. He's a great help, being retired now, and he's got the extra time on his hands. It's muchly appreciated, sir. Thank you very much for all that you've done. Andrew Datter, that has recently joined our committee as well, spends a lot of time in the bush and likes to hike. He's a member of also the SARS team, so just recently here we've had a few episodes that he was called out on, and then 40-degree humidity days out there tromping through the woods looking for lost people. So great support, great help on the committee. Thank you very much, Andrew. Welcome. And I think most of you know this handsome fella here, Mr. Jamie Harris. He's been with us from the beginning as well. He's great support. Same as Mark. He does a lot of the behind-the-scenes communicating and talking and getting the support for the group, and does all our planning. He's sat down, and I don't know how many times you've had to change and revamp the schedule and work things in and change and flip this around as things change, because life happens, things happen. So thank you, Jamie, for all your help. So throughout the weekend, if there's anybody that has questions or queries or concerns, please feel free. We're very open and easy to talk to. Any one of the committee members here
If they can't answer your question, then they'll approach one of the other committee members and we'll figure it out for you.
Who are you? Who are you? Who's our voice?
I'm Dale. Yeah, I'm Dale Spates. I've been with the committee now for the last 3 years, and they sort of took the vote and said, okay, you're going to be the face. Right? I played
picked a pretty
a pretty one, yeah. In the bush, who cares, right? But yeah, no, I've spent a lot of my time. I play in a country bluegrass band with my parents, stuff like that. So being behind a microphone, being on front of the stage, it doesn't bother me that much. So these guys are, kind of shy, but I hear Jamie can sing, though. We'll hear him tonight.
Here's to you guys. That response was underwhelming. Thanks to you guys. There we go.
So, without further ado, I discussed it with a few of the committee members here, and we thought it only fitting this year that our ceremony fire be lit by Lawrence, and he's going to have some great help from his daughter Sarah, who I know she spent some time in the bush with Daddy, and she's pretty handy with a ferro rod. So, without further ado, we'll get you guys to come up and strike a spark and get our official fire going. How about it, eh?
This isn't any pressure.
Let's go practice, girlie.
That's right. We've all been there. You should have seen me lighting the fire 2 nights ago. It was quite entertaining for the rest of the crowd.
Oh, I think you got it. I think you got it.
Way to go, girl.
There we go.
Awesome job. We'll get that going. And Jamie just made a good point. If you notice, we've got a little pile of wood over in the corner here. So we want to keep this fire going all day long. And with the rain, it's a little bit damp, so we brought some over here to sort of season around the heat. But if you're walking by and see us getting down to that, by all means, please throw a log on. We got to burn through this before the end of the weekend.
We're all pyromaniacs here.
Or 3 or 7,
Whatever it takes. So.
This is just a homemade one. Costco sells these throws for sometimes I think for like $20. So I had a friend of mine who's handy with a sewing machine. He sewed up some ends. I put bungee cord on the ends and on the sides, and I made a suspension. Hang it on the line? You could, yeah. And now I have my.
To give you some samples of coffee, I brought a number of different ways of making coffee, and I kind of focus this on making coffee in the woods, and that's what it's all about for us, right? We're all about being in the woods and how we can enjoy a class cup of coffee while we're out in the woods. So it's just some basics. But first, let's just do a little bit of history story on coffee itself. Some of you may already know this. Coffee dates back to 6th century Ethiopia. And the legend goes that an Ethiopian sheep herder was out one day and he noticed the goats that he was herding were getting really frisky and running all over the place after they were eating berries off of this bush. So the man put 2 and 2 together and he discovered that the berries had something in them that was making them frisky. So he took this to the local monastery, and the monks there decided, we can make some money off of this, and they started farming coffee beans. Now, that's where the legend says it started, and it wasn't until the 15th century that it really took off with coffee houses. So coffee roasters will call that first crack. So basically what happens is the shell of the coffee is starting to expand to the point where it cracks, and then a husk or a shell will fall off of it, or chaff. And it's just like a little bit of a brownish chaff off of it. A few minutes later, they'll get a second crack.
Every day. Okay? It used to be every 24 hours, but now it's every day. Right? So, you know, it used to be if I checked it at 5 o'clock tonight, I got to check at 5 o'clock tomorrow. But if I work overtime, how do I do that? Right? So they changed it to once a day. Right? That way you make sure that the animals aren't in a position where they're going to suffer for any length of time. Right? Because if you're trapped, stress involved. Right? The animal's not going to suffer in this unless something goes wrong. Okay? Because it was explained to me they still hunt foxes with dogs in England, and all the trapping regulations are trying to base it on worldwide trapping. So because there's really no regulations for foxes in England, there's really no regulations for anything else. So this trap here,
England got to do with us.
trapping regulations are tried to be done worldwide, right? That's why you have the North American Fur Reg Association, and then there's another one, I can't remember, I don't deal with them, right? So this trap here, you'll notice that it's connected on the side here. Okay.
Wow, this is a beautiful bubble.
Go find it. You're gonna go find a long, skinny rock, Dad. Long, skinny rock.
Just axe that off. Hello?
Oh! Where are you with your leg cut off?
Although that hasn't stopped me from trying to kill myself, for sure. I just have a really good first aid kit at home.
I'll run there and get it for you.
Yeah, I do. And you don't have to go up to the line. You can leave it a little off. So it'll work on this side because there's no knot. So we can do it. Putting in those loose cuts. Maybe she's not as loud as my dog. So well, this could be interesting if I know. You gotta keep your finger. So now you got your bolt. I'm gonna start working on.
Smart and expensive knife you're using there?
Say again, over?
Is that knife expensive?
Which one?
I mean, just...
The one I just...
No.
No, this?
Yeah.
No, it's $30.
It's more?
Yeah. 30, 35 maybe. Bushcraft Canada. I'm sure there's other places around.
Yeah, the Canadian Outdoor Equipment store in Toronto sells them.
I like dealing with Paul.
Paul's a nice guy. Yeah. You can get them on Amazon, of course.
I'm always leery, you know.
Lee Valley?
No.
Lee Valley had, I think they've only got the longer version, or it's either the longer.
Dough's all mixed, we'll add the chocolate.
It looks like we're trying to make...
Or we could put the chocolate on after it's cooked.
But
Maybe
we'll
that's
just
the better
share
idea.
It looks like we're trying to make
Zoe,
bread
come
of
on up and we'll
chocolate
share
bread.
one, okay? So we do the next one, so.
So if siblings are going to do, or if you want to work...
Well, I tried to before.
And then
I don't know.
you want to hold it up high and cook it slowly. So you put it down low at first so that your dough sets. And you keep turning it. If you let one side get brown first, it could get heavy and fall off. So let it cook and just sort of turn it. When it turns golden brown on the outside, it should be done.
It kind of...
If you're patient enough, you won't have any stickiness on the inside. So it'll take about 10 minutes.
Holy crap.
It's a lot longer than it's getting close.
rip them off?
You should have done that.
Pakistani stickers, because you get the ones that you get them like the $5 knives, and they're always made in Pakistan, right?
Yeah, well, I have one that looks almost identical to that, but it was from my father.
Yeah.
And it's sharp and stays sharp forever. It's just a knockoff, the same design, I think.
It works for what I need it for when I have little things that I need to cut. I find boxes. Sometimes I gotta open them up and I get nothing, or I've got to cut.
What's that? I don't know. I was saying to Sally on the way down, I'd love to see somebody do it, because other than going to the barber shop and seeing them do it there, I've never been shown how, I've never seen anybody actually do it.
I don't know if he has one here or not, but...
So all I'm going to use is some of this pre-started stuff that's already kind of white and fluffy. Where I do have an extender, and I'm going to have an extender and flash fuels, I'm not going to need to break it down as much as I normally would, but I'm still going to rough it down. The easier you make this, better it'll work, right? So in a survival situation, which I don't recommend trying this for the first time in, but in a survival situation, you may only have one shot. If it's cold, you may start losing dexterity in your hands. You may only have the materials to try once. So it's always a good habit to get into. Do it like you're relying on it. And then when the time comes, hopefully it's muscle memory. Firefighters train because they repeat stuff. And then when they go and do their job, it just looks simple, right? Same kind of thing with these skills. Practice them a lot. Practice them like you need them. And then when you do need them, God forbid you ever get in that situation, it's second nature. You're not fumbling, you're not wondering. Burn in, you don't want to rush it. So your spindle will flatten out a little with your burn-in after it goes out. So before you actually start your full fire, I'd probably use that. But what I'm going to say is you want to you'll round that up a little bit. You don't want a whole lot of pressure around the edges. It's smoking on its own, so I want to get a little oxygen in there. That's the ember. Nice. Ember's going.
Very nice.
Believe it or not, that's one of the easier parts. This is what can take some time.
I'm just staying in the shade.
So I'm in no hurry, as you can see. Taking my time, just letting that grow. Keeping an eye on it, make sure the wind don't take it.
You don't sweat on it.
Make sure I don't sweat. The hottest part of that. Once again, give my tinder bundle another check over, make sure everything's good. Now the transfer can be the tricky part. Because you don't want to snuff it out at the same time, right? Oh. So where I flipped it, I changed where that fire was. So now I want to make sure there's lots of oxygen getting to it. So that's what I'm doing with my hand. This is going to be a good one.
Wow.
Three more breaths, you'll have just get that like you are.
For the combustion, it just
I can see it. Giant cigar.
There it is.
And then one of us will... No, you don't step in it. No. What are you doing? Right?
Thank you.
Yep, big one. So what you guys do, that one's easy. What you guys build is called a super shelter. And yes.
So we're going to touch on some of the known diseases. All of the diseases we touch on are very hard to diagnose. There's so many similar symptoms to each other, and you must be very precautious when you go outside.
I can't go to my workshop without getting a tick on me lots of days. You know?
Yeah.
Guinea hens.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know it's important to mention that any biting insect can carry these pathogens because they get it the same way the ticks do. Like if a mosquito landed on a mouse that had some of these pathogens in them and then flew over or got off of that and then got onto you, they're going to transfer the different pathogens to you. So things are transferring so quickly and fast that the scientists, I think, are having a hard time even keeping up. I know even any biting insect, you guys have probably noticed too, like horseflies, mosquitoes, anything that bites you now, you like swell right up. It's not just a little bite that we got when we were kids that we never noticed.
Yeah.
Now it's like, holy crap, I'm going to rip my arm off scratching this thing.
And for the actual bites and many, many other things, you have a first aid kit. I always, when I travel, I always have these two, lavender and tea tree oil. Tea tree is also antifungal, it's good for infection, cuts, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, school that my kids go to, they were running rampant with lice and we put tea tree oil on them and never got it.
Amazing. I make this aromatherapy hand spray, just like a hand sanitizer, and it has eucalyptus and cypress and all kinds of strong herbs and tea tree. And one client was using that on her child's hair to prevent lice too, and she said it worked every time. So yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, bug bites or stings. This is my go-to plant.
Yep.
Do you guys know this one? It's all around your feet.
Yep.
It's free. There's no reason anyone needs to ever go hungry or sick. We've got these plants all over. So there's different types of plantain. This one tends to be a little bit more common, but there's also this one here. Okay. But you can see they've got these ribs. They look very similar, just this one's a little bit skinnier.
Mac and cheese with spare ribs and big meat.
No, I don't have.
You can afford
I couldn't make it last year. My brother was getting married. So shame,
Brother?
Yeah, I know.
Brother or a smoked pig?
He's kind of a smoked pig.
You're stacking your pretties?
He definitely can smoke, I'll give him that.
Give you some of my beans.
Last one that
then he can have a knife like that, but not worry about cutting himself. All right, buddy, you want to go get some food now? Everybody else is already through? All right. Nope, I'm going to put our hats in our suits.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I saw that on the wall.
So what do you guys think? Is it okay? Okay. So on that note, there is plenty. So please come back and have seconds or thirds or that.
About a variety of topics. And,
Stay around, no.
Loving Smiley's morning arms hold me tight, lips to kiss the pain away when things don't go just right. Our love will see us to the end when God says we will part. Until then, you'll be the one. Each day I'll share my heart. One so strong and special that brightens every day. A shoulder to cry on, a friend in every way.
You know, long distance hiking, so I had a nice 65-liter Osprey, but you know, I want something 30 to 40-liter push.
You have any spider pills in there? In this one, do you?
That's not actually a true spider.